Welcome everybody that comes from far and wide. And good morning once again. And welcome to our risk management program information sessions. This is the first for 2026. My name is Refilwe Peo, and I'm the Channel Director for Digital Learning or Online Learning at Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development. And I am joined by my colleague Thurisha Pillay, who's our Proposal and Design Specialist, as well as Vanessa Thurwell, who will shortly take us through the risk management context in a bit more detail. So today's session is designed to give you a clear understanding of the program, the IRMSA endorsement, which we're super excited about, and how this learning translates into real organizational capability. We know that your time is valuable, so let's move straight into what we'll be covering. But just before that, I do want to just cover a bit of housekeeping. We are recording this session, so we'd really appreciate it if you keep your microphones muted throughout the presentation, and feel free to use the chat function and share questions or comments as we go along with the presentation. We will respond in the chat. We've got our team on standby, or we've got a Q&A that will happen later on in the session right at the end, which will allow you to unmute yourself and ask questions and engage with us. All right, so let me briefly walk you through what to expect in the session. Start with a short overview of who SBS Ed is and how we fit into the greater university ecosystem. I'll then unpack the IRMSA endorsement and what it means for you and your organization. And then Vanessa will explore the growing importance of risk management, followed by Thurisha, who will take you through the program structure as well as the learning journey. And then I'll return to discuss organizational implementation or any customized solutions for organizations. And then we'll round it up with a Q&A at the end, right? Just another reminder, please keep yourselves muted, guys. And also engage with us throughout the session. Sometimes a question comes up while we are on a certain slide. And just that you don't forget it, you're more than welcome to drop it in the chat, and we can address those in the Q&A after the session if it's academically related or related to the topic. Alternatively, any program-related queries will be responded to directly by our team on standby. All right, perfect. So who is Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development, right? For those of you not familiar with us, SBS Ed is the executive education or short course arm of Stellenbosch Business School, and we are part of Stellenbosch University, one of Africa's leading academic institutions. And while the business school delivers postgraduate degrees, diplomas, SBS Ed focuses on leadership and management development, short courses for working professionals, and customized programs for organizations. And so what distinguishes us is our academic quality, our strong legacy, and focus on practical high impact learning. So our programs are designed not just to transfer knowledge, but to drive measurable business outcomes, right? So delivering learning that is relevant, rigorous, and immediately applicable. All right. So at SBS Ed, we recognize that learning must fit into demanding professional schedules, and that's why we offer a range of learning modalities, so including blended learning, remote learning, face-to-face learning, online learning, as well as hybrid learning. And this allows us to meet diverse business needs across industries, geographies, as well as workforce structures. And today, our focus is specifically on the online risk management program. All right, so just a brief on our online learning at SBS Ed. It's designed to remove the barriers of time and location while still effectively targeting specific developmental needs across organizations or individuals. It's ideal for the busy executives, operational teams, frontline staff, traveling professionals, remote teams, and digital natives as well, right? So participants typically commit 5 to 7 hours per week, but that's also up to you. That's just a recommendation that we make. And importantly, it's not an isolated learning journey with the Stellenbosch online program. Our programs are uniquely designed to remain highly engaging, incorporating live faculty webinars and interactive discussion forums. So this ensures that flexibility is balanced with engagement and academic integrity, combining convenience with structure and independence with support. Right, so behind this experience is a dedicated digital channel team from program design, business development, through to delivery and support This team ensures that your learning journey is seamless and aligned to your objectives. So collectively, our focus is one thing: building digital or online learning experiences that translate into real capability within organizations. All right. And to deepen today's conversation, we are thrilled to be joined by Vanessa Thurwell. And Vanessa is, in fact, the co-designer and faculty member for this program. She's also the owner of VT Risk Consulting. She also serves as IRMSA's technical risk manager, placing her at the forefront of how risk is applied in organizations. Her expertise spans business continuity, sustainability, knowledge management, and she contributes to the profession through her role on the IRMSA Board Exam Development Panel. So the perspective you'll hear today is grounded in real practice and aligned to current professional standards. And this is particularly relevant when we consider the program itself, because it is not only designed to and delivered by experts, I beg your pardon, it is also formally endorsed by IRMSA. And in the next slide, I'll unpack what that endorsement means and why it matters. Right, so for those of you who are not familiar with the Institute of Risk Management, I'm sure everybody in this room is, but for the purposes of this recording, I'll just highlight that IRMSA is a professional body for risk management in South Africa, formally recognized by the South African Qualifications Authority, aka SAQA, as the authoritative voice for the profession. It is dedicated to advancing the risk management discipline through rigorous standards, professional development, education, training, and the awarding of recognized designations. Endorsement by IRMSA is a formal quality assurance process. Tertiary institutions such as SPSN and others undergo IRMSA's structured review to confirm that the course content, delivery, and learning outcomes align with the Institute's high professional standards. So this ensures that the program reflects current industry best practices, relevance, and excellence, with course material reviewed by experts within the professional body. So what does the IRMSA endorsement mean, right? For the course, it means that SBS Ed's online 7-week self-paced program or the risk management program has been independently validated by South Africa's leading management professional body. The curriculum meets IRMSA's criteria for quality, relevance, and alignment with professional expectations, given the program enhanced credibility and authority and distinction. What does this mean for you as an individual? You gain professionally endorsed, industry recognized skills in contemporary risk management that carry the prestige of IRMSA's endorsement. Completion strengthens your professional profile and provides an important avenue of skills development to ensure the currency of your knowledge, skills, and technical expertise. And for the organization, you invest with confidence in training that has been scrutinized and endorsed by IRMSA. So your team returns equipped with skills that meet the professional bodies' benchmarks, directly supporting stronger risk governance and organizational reliance or resilience. All right, and the endorsement provides independent assurance that the program delivers measurable professional value. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to hand over to our risk management expert, Vanessa Thurwell, to take us through navigating risk in a complex world. Over to you, Vanessa.
Super. Thank you so much, Refuwa. I hope everyone can hear me. And yeah, really just to give you a sort of opening sort of flavor of why do we actually have to do risk management. We're in this increasing volatility. We're seeing all the sort of crazy stuff that's going on in this world. And risk management gives us that sort of tool to have the discussions and to start being much more proactive in our posture towards understanding this volatility, navigating the risks through this complexity. So yeah, you can really, some of the benefits that we have, it makes us much more confident in making decisions in our organizations. And that also then helps us to be much more confident in the achievement of our organization objectives. And it's not just our strategic objectives. It can be right down to our operational objectives, our project objectives, and really just achieving what we're setting out to do. It then helps us to also protect the value of our organization in terms of minimizing the losses we might be experiencing, as well as then creating value in terms of achieving the opportunities that present themselves. And in turn, that brings a lot of sort of agility to being able to quickly achieve these opportunities. Our stakeholders will have a lot more confidence in us because they see that we are managing our organizations responsibly and protecting their interests and their investments. It makes us much more efficient, where we've got a lot more focus on critical risks and controls. And through that, we're much more prioritized and deliberate in our attention, and we're not wasteful or sort of just messing around with the lower level issues. We targeting those priority issues, and we understand the big issues that our organizations face. This then also helps with improved financial management, our whole organizational performance and resilience in general, and being able to bounce back when we are faced with specific issues. Because we understand our organizations better, there's fewer surprises. We're not taken by surprise when particular issues arise. We unpack which we'll look at now, is unpacking the sort of macro environment and globally we see what's happening. How does that actually have an impact on our organization? And we're not taken by surprise. And as I touched on already, is that management agility to seize those opportunities. And because we're being much more proactive in our posture, and we're much more efficient in achieving those objectives that we have, and we've got greater clarity there as well. And really incredibly important that we're looking at those externally generated threats as well as our opportunities. So understanding the macro environment is absolutely critical. We cannot ignore what's happening in the Middle East. We cannot ignore what's happening with the fuel prices, with political instability and various issues that we really have to understand the relationship of our organization with this macro environment and what is happening out there that can have an impact on us. The business environment within your sectors, within your countries, be it if you're in private sector, public sector, Southern Africa, as we said, as far as away as Sweden, and really just understanding that whole environment. What are our external strengths and weaknesses, as well as the opportunities and threats? Where is our organization particularly strong, or where have we got vulnerabilities? Are we very vulnerable to foreign exchange rates, to fuel prices, to international relations with countries that are in conflict? So understanding that, but then also where are our strengths? Where can we adapt? Where can we really perform well given the situation? And then also, what are the key drivers in our institution? What are our regulatory frameworks, our compliance frameworks? What's actually driving our performance? Are we in a financial services sector that we're very regulatory controlled, mining sectors, insurance, etc.? There's many different institutional drivers that we have that we need to understand for our organizations as well. Okay, and then really looking at 2026 and beyond, what are we facing? On the top of everyone's mind at the moment is what's going to happen next in the Middle East, the ongoing war in Russia and Ukraine. You wake up every morning and see what's Donald Trump's next Truth Social post and who he's now taking to task. So, understanding what's happening there. There's so much political strife and conflict that's happening. It's changing the polarity of the world, of who, while the Middle East is having all of this issue and what's happening in the US, we've got China just quietly emerging as a powerhouse. So the whole polarity of the globe is changing. We've then got the climate change issues, global warming, increasing temperatures, and how that's affecting agriculture, how it's affecting our infrastructure, as well. We've got a client in one of the southern African countries who they're a road organization, and they've actually changed the composition of the tar that they are paving roads with to withstand the increasing temperatures. So we need to be up to speed with these. The fuel prices and availability as a massive issue that we're facing. We're starting to see prices increase due to this, and the knock-on effects, the stress to our staff. We've got to see a lot of organizations that are moving back onto a work from home situation so that they can actually get, sort of because of the fuel prices here. The global cost of living as an ongoing issue, global governance and the sort of rule of law that's breaking down, not just in South Africa, but all over. And then also the scarcity of resources, be it water, our mineral resources, and our different sort of utility-based resources as well. And we really just need to understand that macro environment that's happening globally. So a very good resource, if you haven't read it already, if you are not aware of it, and the QR code will send you to the link to download it, is the World Economic Forum Global Risk Report. Fantastic resource. It gives a brilliant view of the risks that we're facing. It's taken from a lot of surveys and analytics of information from across the globe. And the top risk that came out this year was geoeconomic confrontation, which has it superseded misinformation and disinformation, which was the highest risk last year. We've got rapid technology change. We've got this war of values. And again, the sort of moral compass has seemed to be disrupted. We've got climate instability, economic reckoning, social strife. We've got endangered infrastructure and, this sort of incapacitated and failing infrastructure. State-based armed conflict was another big theme that came in. Artificial intelligence and the exponential rate at what that's growing. Our multipolarity without multilateralism. So a lot of words there, but that is really, we've got these different countries that are starting to, having this sort of power struggle, but we're not working together. We don't have that multilateralism that's happening. And then obviously geopolitical shocks as well. But there's always room for hope and opportunities to rebuild that trust and resilience. But one of the big issues that did come out in the World Economic Forum, or the sort of theme that they gave for the year, that we're in this age of competition. But we really need to focus on the way forward. So I encourage you to read the World Economic Forum risk report. And these are the top risks. So when you have a look at the report, they break up the risks into the short term of the next 2 years. And that's where you see geoeconomic confrontation has come up. Misinformation and disinformation drop down to second place. Societal polarization, extreme weather events, state-based armed conflict, cyber insecurity, and so on. And it breaks it up into the different categories as well. And then the longer term view, you can actually see a lot more environmental type risks, where we're looking at the impacts from extreme weather, biodiversity loss, and ecosystem collapse. We're seeing that quite significantly. And then the critical change to our Earth systems, misinformation and disinformation, and the list goes on. And then what the report does, and for all of the countries represented here, right at the end of the report, we have the top 5 risks for each country. So I really encourage you to go and have a look at that report. Then bringing it closer to home, in the African context, I know there are some of you that are not on the continent, but coming closer to home, we've got our own specific issues that we are dealing with. corruption. And again, some of these aren't unique to the African context either. We've got significant education issues. I mean, you see there an empty classroom. And a lot of these issues are incredibly cross-cutting in terms of the impacts we face. Water shortages, gender-based violence is a increasingly significant issue that we are facing. Our infrastructure failure, our unemployment, rising food costs, conflict and sort of civil unrest and various protests that we have both in, again, public sector and private sector on service delivery, wages, employment conditions, etc. So a lot of issues that we are facing. Another resource that we have is called the Alliance Risk Barometer. It is a global resource, but they do bring South African flavor. And again, the other countries that are represented here, I encourage you to go and have a look. It does break it down, and you can see quite a different view. Cyber incidents as the top, then business interruption, artificial intelligence, natural catastrophes, climate change, critical infrastructure, blackouts, fire and explosions, political risks, changes in legislation and regulation, and then an environmental one there of our water scarcity and natural risks. So yeah, have a look. A lot of these, all of these resources are publicly available. And then very close to my heart is the IRMSA risk report, and we are actually busy working on the 2026-2027 risk report. So very exciting to see what's coming out there. And that gets launched in July this year. So with the current risk report, we had these top 10 risks, and what we tried to do is balance them with opportunities. So political instability is one of the highest risks. We said that needs to be balanced out with building cohesive politics and this sort of stable political environment. We had failed state as a risk, and that we need to now actually build this capable state. And a lot of, again, cross-cutting issues that have an impact on exacerbating these risks. A breakdown in the rule of law and needing to really start to build a credible rule of law. And again, it's not unique to South Africa at all, but we just have this, we have an incredible legal and regulatory environment, but we just don't seem to be complying with it. Failed public infrastructure and the absolute critical need to capacitate that infrastructure, our roads, our ports, our rail, water infrastructure, electricity infrastructure, and the economic burden that has, but also the personal and social issues of just the sort of frustration of getting to work with the rail network down or the bus network down or taxis striking or whatever it could be, that infrastructure, we're so reliant on it, hitting a pothole and having to replace a tire, it has a personal impact as well. Insufficient human capital, which also has a big issue there with our not having the right skills in the right places, and various causes of that as well. Disruptive technologies, we see the use of AI, we see the use of different systems, different technologies that can be incredibly disruptive, but we need to turn them into creative technologies that actually assist us. We had a seminar last night where we were talking about the use of AI for fraud detection, and that we actually need to fight fire with fire, that in detecting the fraud, we have to be actually really understanding what the fraudsters are actually using. So really understanding these technologies, economic regression, and making sure that we are creating a competitive economy. Inequality and social fragmentation as another big risk, and just making sure that we have a connected society. We have massive inequality that, again, has got many issues from education, poverty, unemployment, etc., that all impacts that. Then moving into the environmental space, our extreme weather events, and making sure that we're starting to understand how to adapt to climate change. What are the impacts if we're in logistics or we're in agriculture or whatever we might be? How are we now responding to the changes in the weather patterns? And then Another very broad issue as well is the long-term malnutrition and developmental stunting, and making sure that we are establishing this cost-effective or cost-accessible food security, which also has a big impact with poverty, inequality, economic regression, the cost of living crisis. So that's really our top 10 risks and opportunities. And we'll see in July how our top 10 risks for 2026, 2027 come out. Then looking internal, so that gives us the external context. We now need to also understand our internal context. This is very much where we're looking at our operational structure of our organization. What are our resource capabilities, our people, our systems, our processes, and our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and the threats that we might face. So by understanding that external context, we can now start to think about our own internal environment and how effective are we, where are our problems, where are our vulnerabilities. And then starting to also establish those goals and objectives and the strategies to actually achieve them, understanding them within those strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and making sure that we're not establishing a strategy that's going to open us up to risks, but we also are not, there's not risks that are coming from our strategies as well. So looking at the risks to our strategy as well as the risks from our strategies. And then just to understand our role as risk managers. Now, you don't have to carry the actual title of a risk manager or a chief risk officer or a risk practitioner. We really all need to be risk managers in our organizations. We need to understand our strategy and what are the risks that can affect us achieving that strategy. Who are our stakeholders? Who can we have an impact on and who can have an impact on us? And then understand those contexts like we've just spoken, the macro, external context, and then the micro context as well. Understanding those risks. What are some of the existing issues that we're facing and that we know that we could potentially face? But then what are the emerging risks? As different changes happen, both externally and internally, there could be new risks that are starting to emerge. And then we have to embed risk management. We have to have a certain level of guardrails, frameworks, and policies and processes to guide us in how we're actually doing risk management. But we mustn't let them stifle us. We need to be having the conversations of what are our risks? What are our concerns? What have we got in place to try and manage these? And through that management, adapting to different situations, understanding those risks and the opportunities, it really leads us to becoming a resilient organization. And as I said, you don't have to be a qualified or certified risk manager. Part of your daily job should just be understanding the risks that we face and how can we manage them to really just be resilient at the end of the day. And just some of the challenges that you might face. And hopefully through this course, you'll start to understand how we can actually deal with these. We often experience a lack of commitment and buy-in, especially from leadership. We have boards and excos that don't really believe in risk management, even though it is a governance requirement of theirs. And we need to start to sell risk management to our organizations. Sometimes our roles and responsibilities aren't adequately defined, and we need to make sure everybody knows what their role is and what they need to contribute to. Stakeholder communication. Again, this is not unique to risk management. It can be a big issue in organizations. Lack of stakeholder collaboration, that we're not working with our partners, our suppliers, our contractors, our regulators, and so on, and that all of the different parties involved in an organization really need to be collaborating and working together. Number 5 is the biggest issue that we see, is that everyone's just trying to tick the box and that it's just a compliance exercise, and incredibly hard to work through that. And it's a big organizational culture issue there as well. And then lastly is just that lack of continuous improvement, that we ticking the box and we're moving on. Next year, we'll look at our risk assessment again and our risk report. But for now, we're done. And that's not how we do good risk management. And that's what we'll be teaching you through the course as well, is just continually improving how we're actually managing our risks and remaining dynamic. Okay, so that's it from me. Over to you, Tharisha.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. It's always great listening to your insights and greetings to everybody. So I'll be taking you through the overview of the program itself. Um, so in an ever-changing and unpredictable business landscape, managing risk is no longer just a compliance exercise, as Vanessa did distinctly say. It's a critical leadership capability. So the question is no longer if risk will arise, but how you are prepared and are able to respond to it. So our risk management program is aligned or pitched to an NQF level 7. It is designed to equip you with the knowledge, the skills, and the practical tools to confidently identify, assess, mitigate, and monitor risks across your team and organizations. Because let's be honest, being petulant about risk or ignoring it doesn't make it disappear holistically. It makes it far more costly later. So beyond the fundamentals, this program enables you to contribute meaningfully to your organization's overall risk management strategy, ensuring that risk is approached systematically and proactively. It also helps you build the right constructs that will inform those decisions, so you're not relying on guesswork when it matters the most. So you'll be exposed to global best practices that will augment what you've learned, helping you make informed decisions, strengthen organizational resilience, and safeguard long-term success. And in today's ever-changing environment, resilience isn't just a nice to have, it's a competitive advantage. So this program runs over 7 weeks and with a recommended commitment of between 5 to 7 hours per week, making it quite manageable alongside your professional responsibilities as well. So you'll have access to a live webinar, webinar led by Vanessa, giving you that opportunity to engage, ask questions, and deepen your understanding as well. That's over and above the online content. So whether you're looking just to strengthen your current role or a step into a more strategic decision-making platform, this program does give you the confidence to not just manage risk, but to lead through it. So what you can expect to walk away from this program. At a high level, you'll build a solid foundation in risk management, understanding what it is, why it matters, and the role it plays in driving organizational success. From there, we move beyond the theory into a practical application where you'll evaluate key principles, governance requirements, and apply structured risk management frameworks to both strategic and operational contexts. So you'll work with globally recognized standards like ISO 31000, giving you a practical, real-world approach to identifying, analyzing, treating, and monitoring risks. So you're not just learning concepts, but applying those best practices. More importantly, the program equips you to report on risk effectively, developing a roadmap to improve risk maturity, and most critically, integrate risk management into the organization as a business enabler to build that resilience. So in essence, this isn't just about managing risks, as I mentioned, it's about using the risk as a tool to make better decisions, strengthen your organization, and stay ahead in an increasingly complex environment. So the program is structured as a progressive journey, starting with an introduction to risk management, then building into developing risk strategies and understanding key processes aligned to ISO 31000. From there, we move on into reporting, monitoring, improving risk practices, followed by a strong focus on effective implementation and integration, ultimately leading to building a more resilient organization. And we end off with a practical assignment where you'll be conducting a risk assessment on your organization. Or if you're not part of an organization, you may select one provided information which is publicly available. I just want to see a bit of, I think Vanessa would want to see a bit more application to what you've learned. So who is this program for? Quite simply, it's anyone who wants to manage their risk, because whether you realize it or not, we are all dealing with risk every single day. More specifically, the program is highly relevant for those pursuing a career in risk management, as well as newly appointed risk managers or risk champions who are stepping into the space and need a solid foundation. So it's equally valuable for established risk managers and risk officers looking to sharpen your approach and stay aligned with best practices. And importantly, it is designed for leaders who oversee risk management, giving you the tools to guide your teams more effectively and make informed decisions proactively. So whether you're just starting out, deepening your expertise, or leading from the top, this program does equip you to manage risk with confidence and purpose. So this is our journey overview, which shows how participants will traverse from one module to the next. We will have the orientation session at the beginning. Like what we're doing here, it will be synchronously held via Teams or Zoom to help participants understand the expectations of the program. And we will go through the functionalities of our learning portal called Moodle. So you will see that each module is a week long. So we start off on a Tuesday and we end on a Monday. And we iteratively release the module at the beginning of that week. Participants will have the week and weekend to complete each module before the next one is released. So when thinking about risk management, you may think of it as being very heavy and rich with content, but we've designed it to be very practical as possible, and it's hugely relevant and applicable to industry in today's rapidly evolving and volatile landscape. So you need to go through the 7 weeks, not just learning theory. So we've matched every single module with reflections, implementation activities, discussion topics, quizzes, and even showcasing. And we also have in our content an insightful interview that was actually recorded previously. The program is strongly hinged around that ISO 31000 framework, which is a global risk management guide, and provides that a framework with principles and processes for managing risk. So for 2026, we have 2 intakes, which you can choose from. The first one starting next week, 28th of April, and the second intake on the 14th of July. Applications are open for the first intake and will close next week, Friday. Applications for the second intake will close 1 week before the start date. I'm now going to hand over to Rafilwa that will be taking you through the solutions for your organization. Over to you, Raf.
Thank you very much, Tharisha and Vanessa. And at SBS Ed, we do understand that learning and development teams are not just delivering training, they are enabling capability across the organization, right? And in the context of risk management, this becomes even more critical. Right, so we cater to your organization's needs through 2 very distinct pathways. Our ready-made solutions, which is what Tharisha has just elaborated on, such as the risk management program, provide a structured, proven way to build foundational risk capability across teams quickly and at scale, right? Our customized solution, our second option, takes this a bit further. So here we co-create a learning journey aligned to your organization's specific risk landscape. So whether that's governance, operational risk, compliance, or strategic risk, this ensures that the learning is not only relevant, but directly applicable within your particular environment. So ultimately, both pathways are designed to strengthen risk maturity, improve decision making, and build organizational resilience. Right, so how do we bring this to life? What you see on the screen is basically the process of how we customize our programs. And we normally begin with a core program. And in this context, it would be the risk management program, the ready-made program, to ensure academic rigor and NQF alignment. From there, we can either add or replace up to 3 modules to reflect your organizational priorities based on identified risk gaps at a strategic, operational, or functional level. I'll demonstrate that in a short while. We then co-create a structured learning pathway, ensuring that the journey is cohesive as well as developmental. And where required or at your request, we incorporate a hybrid model combining online learning with live sessions, workshops to strengthen that practical application, right? So this normally results in a solution that is academically sound and tailored to your organizational reality. Right, so let's bring this to life with a practical example, right? So an L&D team approaches us and says we want to use the risk management program as our core program, but we need to translate it into real business impact, right? So what we would do on our side, or what Dorisha would do on her side, is begin with the risk management foundation with the core modules of the program, which is what you see on the left of the screen, right? But then the business has informed the L&D team of specific gaps when it comes to risk management within the organization. Their teams typically understand risk conceptually, right, but struggles to translate it into strategy, embed it into leadership decision making, and apply it consistently across functions. We will then respond to this particular gap, and that will respond by way of building around the risk management core, right? Using key modules selected from our NQF aligned program pool by identifying modules that resonate with that particular business challenge. And this is demonstrated on the right of the screen. And we have highlighted designing leading edge strategies to align risk to business priorities. We've also highlighted leadership in a complex world to embed risk across teams and navigate complexity and decision making. And we've added a third layer of execution, and that is manage project execution to ensure risk is actively managed and in delivery and operations, right? Now the program shifts and it's no longer about understanding risk, but it then becomes about using risk to inform strategy, strengthen leadership, and drive execution. In the next slide, we'll demonstrate how this all will look in the new or the revised learning journey. Perfect. And with the inclusion of those 3 modules that we've highlighted, we now have a 9-module risk strategy program. We can title it as we wish, or we can title it approximately around the risk management concepts. And this learning journey is intentionally then sequenced to feel integrated and developmental. So it's not simply customized. We don't just throw modules together, but it's purposefully designed to build progressive risk capability across the organization. So where engagement is required, we incorporate a minimum of 1 faculty-led face-to-face workshop, which can be enhanced through gamification or simulations in class or inside of that workshop, right? And this creates a hybrid model that strengthens practical risk application, decision-making, and cross-functional alignment, right? So the result of this process would then be a customized risk strategy program, a learning journey that maintains the academic integrity while being strategically aligned to the organization's risk maturity, resilience, and overall business performance objectives, right? If you're an L&D on this call and you are particularly interested in us designing something specifically for your organizational needs, please feel free to contact me. My email address is on the screen. I'm sure someone will drop it into the chat, giving you direct access to my email address. We will then conduct a scoping session with myself, Dorisha, our program designer. We can also bring Vanessa into the call if that's what you wish, with whoever else it is on your side of your team that you want to involve in creating the program. We'll then identify the right combination of core and additional modules, align the program and design it to your organizational strategy. And once we have agreed on how that's going to look, We present a proposed structure, and then after that, we do commercial agreements for approval. Once logistics have then been put together, we then launch the program as Thorisha has already demonstrated the learning journey. We normally start off with the orientation before we proceed. So this particular structure, we provide ongoing support, including expert faculty involvement, peer learning, and continuous feedback to maximize impact. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. And through today's session, we've seen how risk management is evolving and how organizations are moving beyond compliance to using risk as a strategic enabler. And at SBS Ed, we are committed to delivering learning solutions that are accessible, relevant, and tailored to your needs, whether through our portfolio of short courses, customized programs, or hybrid learning journeys. Our focus is not just on understanding risk, but enabling you and your organization to apply it effectively to strengthen decision-making, resilience, and performance. So now that you've heard from us, we would absolutely love to hear from you. I'm going to open the floor for any questions or any thoughts you might have. I have been monitoring the chat and it's been quite alive. The team has been exceptional in responding to a lot of these questions. I think let us highlight the ones that particularly keep coming up. I will ask either Vanessa or Thorisha to handle some of these queries, but just scanning through, I did see that we have quite a few questions on the NQF alignment. I'm not sure, Thorisha, if you want to just clarify that once and for all for everyone in the room.
Yeah, sure. I'll certainly take that, Ref. So we are a short course division of Stellenbosch Business School. So all of our courses are short courses, and when we design our courses, we pitch or align it at a certain NQF level. It's not accredited, but it sort of applies the knowledge in a practical context according to the complexity and depth of learning. So there's no articulation or credits. It's not credit bearing.
All right, perfect. Thank you for that. I've also seen questions on certification. We do offer a certificate of competence or certificate of completion. It is a digital certificate, but however, should you require a physical certificate, please just indicate that when you are doing your application and you are liaising with our program manager, and we can organize that for you. Just trying to skim through. Please, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand, and you can ask your question while we try to scan through some of these questions that are in the chat.
Thorisha, just an important question, the admission requirements for this program.
They need to have a matric qualification or post-matric and a sound level of English.
All right, perfect. Do we have any hands, any volunteers for, even if you have left your question in the chat, bring forth your voice. I think we've heard enough of us for the day.
The total cost of the whole modules.
All right, so the total cost, this is including VAT. This is 18.1. I think it has been highlighted in the chat as well, but please do email online and Giba, who's our digital business developer, will assist you with the quotation as well as with your application. I see William, your hand is up. You can unmute.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. The current company I work at doesn't have a risk process in place, like no risk management or monitoring or anything. I'd like to implement something. Would this course be able to guide me so that by the end I can have, like, starting from nothing, so anything is better than nothing? Will it guide me so that I can implement something?
Yeah, William, happy. I have responded in the chat as well, but it will give you that good foundation. And then, as I said there as well, the practical exercise is actually conducting a risk assessment. So looking at your stakeholders, your contexts, at the actual risks themselves. So that will be an immediate deliverable that you can apply in your organization. And then you'll also learn about what's included in a risk management policy and framework, and things like that. And then, as I said, we can also engage further in the actual discussion forums as well. And then after the course. So yeah, it will give you a very good understanding of what's actually needed to be established in your organization.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks, William. Emmanuel, your hand is up.
Hello,
Hi,
am I
Emmanuel.
audible?
Yes, we can
Hello.
hear you. We can hear you,
Yeah,
Emmanuel.
good. I'm based in Namibia. I connected very late, 30 minutes ago with you on the platform now. I've got two questions that I want to put to you. One, the main purpose why I'm engaged with this program is let me put it this way, I've already registered and paid my fees. And I'm basically ready to start with the first intake as communicated. My biggest clarity that I want is the certification. I want to end NQ7 as alluded. NQ7 as alluded on this training to pursue a postgraduate diploma. I currently hold risk management certificate from UCD, advanced risk management certificate from UCD, as well as compliances from UCD. Having been armed with this, I would like to find out if at the end of the study program of this, will I get necessary certification to enter any university to do postgraduate studies in risk management?
All right. Just to clarify there, Emmanuel, what you're asking for is through this particular program, will you be able to then register for a postgraduate? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, NQF8, because the prerequisite for NQF8 is NQF7.
Yeah. All right. I'll start off with a response, and then my colleagues on the call, there's quite a few of us who are more academically inclined. But Emmanuel, this program is a short course, and in its current state, we do not offer any articulation or entry into formal qualifications, which would be a postgraduate diploma, right? My understanding is that should you be interested in a postgraduate diploma, you still need to qualify for that, either with a undergraduate degree, which is also NQF level 7. So remember, ours is aligned. It's not necessarily a full-on NQF level 7. It's aligned to the NQF level 7. Maybe Tharisha, you can elaborate just a little bit more on that. So you would still need to qualify for that postgraduate if it's an undergraduate that you require, which is a bachelor's degree, or an advanced diploma, depending on how it's assessed by our South African Qualifications Authority, as I believe you mentioned that you are in Namibia. So after you've received that assessment, you'll then be able to apply for your PG DIP, but you still need to qualify with that institution, whether it's us or any other institution, you still need to qualify with those requirements. I'm not sure if you want to elaborate on that. I see Kerry's hands up.
Thanks, Rupiwe. Thank you for the question, Emmanuel. My name is Kerry. I'm the marketing director at AID. And I do just want to emphasize what Rupiwe has mentioned in terms of an NQF level 7 academic program undergraduate. Generally speaking, that is what is required. However, what you can pursue, and it varies between institutions, is recognition of prior learning. So what that means is that your work experience and potentially the subtotal of your short course training can actually meet requirements to get you into a postgraduate level program. But that is different at every institution. So, we don't want to say, yes, that will happen. You would need to actually approach the institution that you would like to do your postgrad at.
No, it's quite clear.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much, Kerry. Thanks, Emmanuel, for that question. There is another interesting question in the chat. It was presented by Laura. I see that Vanessa and Kerry have responded, but I think I would just like Vanessa just to reiterate the response. The question is the certificate course accepted for IRMSA board exam CRM Prac 1?
Okay, so yeah, thanks on that. So it's aligned with the sort of curriculum or the sort of requirements, but it's not the only thing you can study. So if you finish the course, you're not necessarily going to be equipped with all the rest of the information that we use to develop the CRM Prac exam. There's a lot more other sort of topics that we weren't able to include into the 7-week course. So the course will give you a sort of practical base, and it'll cover, it's not a quantitative figure, but I'd say sort of 50-60% of what you'd need to know. But you still need to, once you've registered for the CRM Prac and you get access to the learning material, you have to have a look at that as well, because there's a lot of other topics that we cover. So it's definitely not just the only thing, but it will give you a good foundation.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Vanessa. And I think we'll take one more. I think Tharisha can help us.
Can I
Oh, yeah,
ask a
sure.
question?
Sure, no problem.
So just in terms with organizational confidentiality, when we do this program, I mean, obviously a lot of companies I work for a big company, B2Gold. So obviously they do have some confidential information and so forth. How does this program, like, should I then rather be working on a different organization to just keep the confidentiality there? Or like, yeah, I mean, I'm just concerned about that for the organization.
Right, perfect. Vanessa, I don't know if you want to just take on how you treat that, but from a institutional perspective, so we are obliged by Poppy to keep that information confidential, right? So the only person that will see that is Vanessa, who will be marking your assessments. And I think you will also have to practice certain discretion as to what to include, what is appropriate to include and what is not. And if you need to seek any permission from your organization to include a certain document, if it is that confidential, please do so in advance. But we do comply with Poppy. And I think, Vanessa, you can just elaborate on how you treat those once you get those assessments.
Yeah, look, they don't get shared. I've got an NDA with Stellenbosch Business School, and I've got my own sort of integrity. It's on my system. Nothing gets shared, I won't be releasing any of your risk management information. But if you feel it is something particularly sensitive, or your organization will be unhappy with you doing that, you can simulate information that you're not necessarily giving your own company's information. You can pick another organization maybe, or as long as I can see that you've understood the concepts and that you've given this sort of structure and the information that's needed, whether it's a top secret FBI agency or Coca-Cola, as long as I can see you followed the process, that's what's important. So if you feel you do have sensitive company information that they're not going to be happy with, then rather not. But we do exercise total control of your information.
Hello, try hello. Can you hear me?
Just sorry, just another question on. I see that it starts on the 28th. Is that also the same day that the orientation is? And if so, if you do miss it due to work related, will I be able to catch that up then? The orientation. That will be fine if I miss it.
Yeah, we would love for you to attend, but it is recorded and we do upload it onto the learning management system.
Can I say something, please?
Okay.
I try to hand my lights up.
Oops, sorry.
Hello.
Yes.
I am trying to raise up my hand, but I could not hear my raise. It's Alexander.
All right, Alexander, can we just conclude on the previous question and then I'll come to you? Is that
Thank
okay?
you. Thank you.
All right, not a problem. So orientation is usually scheduled during that week. So we know in South Africa we've got a colorful week next week. We've got 2 public holidays, so we will probably schedule that within the week. But requirements for you to be invited to the orientation, you need to have done all your administration. So the final step would be to send your proof of payment to either the program manager, Dimakatso Tshwane, or to Giba. And we'll be able to then send you not only your Moodle credentials, which is our learner management system, but also an invite to the orientation session. But it is recorded and we do upload it. But should you have any questions, the team is always available to assist you with how to navigate.
Okay. And so
Perfect.
next week's orientation date is not set yet.
It's not yet set, but we're launching it on the 28th. So on the 28th, Moodle will go live. You will have access to it. We normally do orientations on the Wednesday of, right? So that's the normal schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, but as I mentioned to you, once you've done all your once you've gone through the administrative processes,
Yeah.
then you'll be sent an invitation by Dimakatso, who's our program manager.
Okay, 100%. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, Alexander, I think you'll be the last question that we'll take before closing the session. I'm cognitive of time. We are 5 minutes over. Alexander, are you still on the call with us? Alexander, if you're on mute, please just unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Yeah, my question is very simple. I would like to find out whether the risk management is accredited by South African authorities.
If it's registered with SAQA.
No, my question is the risk management is accredited by South African authorities.
What, this particular course?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
It's
is.
accredited.
Yes, it is, but I'm not sure in what context. So we are a university. We register our programs with the University of Stellenbosch, which is registered and accredited by Department of Higher Education, SAQA, etc. So we do follow a
so
short
it's accredited by
policy.
SAQA. Then it's okay. Then it's okay. That's great.
All right. Yes, it
That's
is
great.
recognized by SAQA. Yes, it is.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see a very last minute question. I think, guys, all the other questions that do come in, we normally consolidate this call, and anything that we haven't been able to answer, we usually send it to everybody in the post mailer where the recording will also be sent. I'll just take the last one for Vanessa. Since this is the last question, is there a platform I can ask? Yes, there is. You can forward the question directly to us and we can send it to Vanessa. And then she can answer that for you if it's risk related or if it's IRMSA related. No problem.
Yeah, I'll pop my email address in the chat and you can either contact me directly. And if it's during the course, we actually have the discussion forums and direct messaging as well once you're actually on the system.
Yeah, perfect. And in fact, I think Chanel, we can bring up Vanessa's details. So should you wish to link with Vanessa on LinkedIn, please scan the QR code on screen. I do have to thank everyone for engaging in your questions, and I do also have to give a nice shout out to the team. I see most of, if not 100% of the questions in the chat have been answered. And another huge thank you to you, to Vanessa as well. I know the IRMSA team is also on the call. Thank you very much, ladies, for joining us, and thank you for assisting us with the registration and the application process that it took to put this program through. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to leave you with our contact details for registrations, program-related queries. Please do not hesitate to contact Giba. You can either call, I think it's online at, yes, please contact her online at sbsed.com. And for those of you who are learning and development professionals or want to develop something for your departments or teams, please contact me directly. My email address is on the screen. Alternatively, it is in the chat, and we can organize a scoping session for your organization. And as mentioned earlier, the session was being recorded and we will send the details thereafter. And that is it from myself, Vanessa Thurwell, Thorisha Pillay, the digital team, and the broader SBS Ed family. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you very much, guys. Goodbye.
Thank you all.